Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a comparison video, a review, a battle of the bags. I think that's what you would kind of say. Yeah, I'd say it's a battle of the bags. And we're going to be doing a battle between the Constance 18 and the Mini Kelly. So before I dive into today's video, if you are new to my channel and you love all things luxury, you love handbags and all that jazz, and you aren't already subscribed, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button below, and also the bells can be notified when I upload new videos. I upload every weekend, and then I might do a surprise midweek upload, but generally every weekend. Okay, so going into this video, I didn't really do a lot of preparation, but it was something that I knew that I really needed to sit down and film, because I get a lot of people asking me, what do I think is the better bag, the Constance 18 or the Mini Kelly? And it's quite obvious as to why people, really question that, is because the Constance 18, Mini Kelly, they're both fairly close in their pricing somewhat, and they're also both considered to be mini bags. But I think that each bag is definitely very different. But I think that when you're talking about in the scheme of things, like if you can only buy one, or you really want to make a decision, on which one you should get first, or if you want to have a very minimal bag collection, that's when these sort of questions really come into play. Look, I think what I want to sort of do first is talk about which one came first. Was it the Constance or the Kelly, in terms of what did Hermes make first? And they did in fact make the Kelly first. Not this particular Kelly though, as a lot of us know that back in the day when they made handbags, they made them for people to actually fit what they needed and that sort of thing. Like, they weren't making tiny little mini bags for just a phone, because they didn't have mobile phones back then. So I guess bags were kind of seen as more of a travel thing. They were something that you just carried as a travel accessory if you're going places and that kind of thing. In 1923, they did a more plain design of that prototype, which was actually a handbag, and it was designed for the wife of, I don't know, it was like Robert Dumas or something, I think, then. And it was designed to actually be a bag that could be put into the side of the car door. You know how we got our car doors and you got that side bit? Yeah, it was designed to actually be able to go into there. But then officially in 1935, that's exactly when it was released as, a Kelly bag. And I think it was first called the Sac de Piches. Yeah. The Constance is documented, and this seems to be pretty firm, that it was actually made in 1959. So obviously that's later, if you 1935 for the official release of the Kelly versus 1959 for the Constance. And again, it wasn't this size. I think the first Constance was like a 23 size. So we're going to talk now about pricing, and we're going to talk about both categories of pricing. So we're going to talk about the retail price of each of them, and then the resale price. All right, so in 2022, from what I can see, I did use the Purse Forum. They have a Hermes bag pricing list, thread that people go and update, and I got the pricing from there. But yeah, anyway, so the Mini Kelly retail price in Epsom. Now this one is not in Epsom, but we're not going to get onto the leathers yet. We'll talk about that a bit later. But I wanted to use Epsom as the benchmark pricing because that's the cheapest one. Epsom is the cheapest leather that Hermes produces, and that's because it is an artificial grain. It's just a heat stamped grain that they get that leather, it's still a leather, but the grain is artificial, right? And it's just a very easy process for them to manufacture Epsom leather, and that's why it's cheaper. And the retail price on the Mini Kelly is $8,250 USD in Epsom. If you were to get it in a Chev, now this is the price I've got for Chev Killer. Mine is a Chev Mysore. I don't know if there's any, I think that there is a slight difference actually. I think Chev Killer is a little bit more expensive than Chev Mysore. So I'm going to give you the price that I've got for the Chev Killer, or however you say it, Chev Killer. I think I'm saying it right. I don't know. It's $8,550. Maybe Chev Mysore would have been $8,500 or $8,450. So yeah, you can see there's quite an obvious price difference there with those leathers, with Epsom versus the Chev Killer. The Constance 18, again in Epsom, starting as the initial benchmark price, is $7,950 USD. Now, So this is not in Epsom, this is actually in Swift leather. But the pricing I've got here for Chev, and this is just Chev Mysore, not Chev Shemkila or anything like that, which is the more expensive Chev, and that's actually a new leather, the Shemkila. But yeah, Chev Mysore is 8,200 USD. Swift would be the same price as that. So Swift would be 8,200 USD. For what I've noticed is generally the same price as Swift. And also Evercolor is in that same pricing. Going back to the Epsom pricing, because I think that that's just the easiest benchmark, even though we know both of these leathers are not Epsom. So Mini Kelly, 8,250 USD. Constance 18, 7,950 USD. So you've got a 300 USD difference in price. And 300 USD is a fair amount of money, but then again, then you've also got those differences when it comes to leather. And one thing that I can kind of say when it comes to actually like getting a Mini Kelly at the retail price, not that that's the easiest thing to do, and not that like anyone can just buy Mini Kelly as is, like there was always some overhead spending involved. Epsom is actually fairly easy to get for the Mini Kelly. Constance 18 in Epsom is also fairly easy to get for the Mini Kelly. It becomes more difficult when you want the other leathers anyway. Now resale pricing, that's where it gets very, very interesting. So we know already that the Mini Kelly is 300 USD more expensive than the Constance 18. That means that they're kind of, I would say, fairly similar in price in my opinion. I wouldn't say if you were offered both of these bags, I wouldn't say go the Constance because it's 300 USD cheaper. Like that would never be my advice actually. But you know, really in a nutshell, my advice would be to always take, you know, buy the bag that, you know, resonates with you, that you like. But like if you're like thinking pricing, you go, oh, but that's a little bit cheaper. I would not consider that as a big deal. That little gap there is nothing. But resale, that's where it gets very, very interesting. It is just so outrageous. Says the person that's holding one. But like at the time I bought this, it was pretty much at its like outrageous pricing. Now it has dropped a little bit because all of Hermes bags have dropped a little bit because there's quite a lot, obviously, a lot of economic factors that are now coming into play when it comes to luxury shopping. You know, in the resale market, the Mini Kelly, even though the price has dropped slightly, the Mini Kelly is ridiculously priced. Around about 25,000 USD. You can get good deals though. There are good deals out there. But this, on the other hand, in the resale market, this is like around about anywhere between 14,000 USD and like say 18,000 USD. That's the range for this. That's a massive, massive difference. Massive difference. That's huge. That's like at the top of the range of the Constance 18 to the lowest range of this is almost 10,000 USD. It's like, what is it? Like, it's like 7,000 USD. That's huge. 7,000 USD is a huge difference in the resale market. But we know that the price difference on these in the retail is only 300 USD. So that's crazy. There is a logic to it, and that is because the Mini Kelly is much, much, much harder to get from the Hermes store. So it's generally pretty known that when it comes to actually getting a Mini Kelly, it's not easy. It is like, aside from like, you know, particular limited editions and things like that, but like in the scheme of like classic standard Birkin Kelly bags, Birkin Kelly Constance bags, the Mini Kelly is well known to be the hardest one to get. And that means that being the hardest one to get generally means that you need to spend more money, or by some miracle, you need to have an amazing sales associate and have an amazing relationship, and you know, it's like just perfection, like the relationship you have with your sales associate where you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to get the Mini Kelly bag. Or if you're lucky enough by fluke to get one at FSH. But from what I'm hearing is that FSH is becoming harder and harder to get bags. I just want to say that for most normal people, which is generally who this video is for, like normal people that are interested in Hermes bags. We're not talking about like the normal people that just aren't into luxury at all. Because I think there's definitely more of that. But I'm saying like the normal customers of Hermes usually have to spend an arm and a leg to get the Mini Kelly, and most people will testify that they find it pretty hard to get, and that I know that there's plenty of people that probably have spent, you know, an arm and a leg trying to get this bag and still haven't been able to get it at the store. I definitely know personally at least you know, 5 or so people that have been asking for a Mini Kelly at their store, and they've definitely spent more than 3 times the price of the bag, and they're still waiting, and they're just going to probably keep on spending until the bag comes, I suppose. Yeah, it's kind of just the system, right? The Constance bag, it's a little bit easier. All right, it's most of the time, from what I've kind of read, people that I've spoken to, this can be kind of the bag that you either get, you can be offered it while you're even, say, waiting for the mini Kelly. So like, let's say for example, you spent like 3 times the price of a mini Kelly and you're waiting on it, right? Mostly people know that 3 times the price of the mini Kelly is not enough. But sometimes, like, if enough time has gone by, like, you can get like appeasement offers. And the Constance is sometimes kind of considered like an appeasement offer, where like the sales associate be like, oh, I've got this, you know, you might like it, and it's Constance, you know. And it's kind of like an appeasement to keep you happy while you're still waiting on the big prize. But it's also a way to, like, you know, keep you spending as well. Makes the customer kind of happy, but then the sales associate knows that they still want the mini Kelly, but they know that if they give them the Constance, it'll appease them for now, but they'll keep on spending towards the mini Kelly anyway. So that's sometimes like what happens with the Constance. And then there's some other bags that are considered like appeasement offers, like the mini Lindy. The other thing with the Constance is that if it is the bag that you want at store, if this is the one that you're actually asking for at store, generally it's like 2 times the amount in items. Like, you spend 2 times the amount in other items and you get the Constance. Sometimes even 1 to 1. It really just depends on what kind of spec of Constance you're looking for. If you're looking for like a Constance 24, they're not as sought after as a Constance 18. Say you want palladium hardware, that's not as sought after as gold hardware. Like, all these kind of things come into like consideration. So in terms of like buying the Constance at store, it is easier to get. But then back to the resale pricing, that is why the resale price on the Constance 18 is less than that of the mini Kelly, because of all the spending that has to be done in order to get the mini Kelly versus the lesser spending that has to be done to get the Constance. So that's the biggest attribute as to why this is not fetching as much in the resale market, the Constance bag. Like, even mine, I got for like the retail price. Like, isn't that crazy? Even though I didn't get like all the other bits and pieces with it, like the receipt, the box, the dust bag and all that. But it was only last year's stamp, but I paid the retail price, which is great. I love when I don't have to pay a premium for an Hermes bag in the resale market. So in my opinion, out of the two, I feel like I can already answer this question. And in terms of like buying resale, if you are not someone who wants to shop at the Hermes store and play the system, play the game, or if you're in a country that just doesn't have like that waitlist sort of system, and it is a case of like spend, then I feel like the Constance is the better bag to get in the resale market than the mini Kelly. I don't think the mini Kelly is a great buy in the resale market, but that really only applies to kind of people that are starting off new in their collection. Like, they don't want to collect mini Hermes bags, they just kind of want like maybe like 2 bags or something like that. Then I feel like the Constance is a better one to get. In terms of like going for a store bag, everyone goes for Birkins and Kellys, but I think that the Constance, if like you just want to get one from the store, I actually think that this is a really great bag to go for. That's a better way of summing up, is that the mini Kelly does not win in regards to like store experience, trying to get one, resale market. It is just not, it is not good. But then again, it just depends where you are at in terms of like your bag collecting and that sort of thing. Staying on the topic of pricing, I just want to quickly touch on like investment wise, right? Look, we know that bags are not literally an investment, but they are becoming more and more well known to potentially be a fairly good investment if you chose right, you know, you pick right, that sort of thing. So I still think it's valid to always sort of discuss, you know, if you are the sort of person that likes to sort of fall back on knowing that a bag holds its value, then investment wise, the mini Kelly is the better one. But the problem with that is that if you've bought it at the peak of its resale value, it is not going to be a good investment. I'm telling you, I feel like the pricing for Hermes during the pandemic is the worst than it was ever been. It just jumped drastically. Like, I feel like that was its peak, and I feel like it's definitely coming down, and I don't see it, like, it could reach that peak again, but I don't think it's ever going to go beyond that peak. So if you got it from the store though, it is a better investment, okay? Because we know that if you were happy to spend that, you know, $60,000 Australian, 45,000 USD, whatever, on those items that you got, and then you got the mini Kelly, then all of that other spending is like a write-off and you're okay, right? So it's like, you know, you don't even consider that spend, okay? So then the mini Kelly is definitely the better investment in that regards. But if, and that's what I mean, like this Hermes is so complicated. It is like, oh my God, it's such a head spin, right? If you bought it in the resale market, this is the better investment bag, because the Constance 18, not the 24, the 18 tends to sort of stay the same. Like it doesn't have a huge fluctuation or anything like that. If the market's dropping, it might lose a few thousand, okay? Whereas like the mini Kelly, if the market's dropping, it could lose a lot more than a few thousand. It could really drop. And also the mini Kelly is such a tiny bag that it could just suddenly no longer be popular because it's too tiny and no one really cares about mini bags anymore. Whereas the Constance 18 is not exactly like a mini bag. Like it's still fairly substantial. It's considered to be more of like a small crossbody bag. And I know that with what I've just said, that just seems like I've totally contradicted myself, because I said, hey, the mini Kelly is the better investment. But I only started off by saying the mini Kelly is a better investment because if you do buy it, if you actually do happen to buy it at the store, or even if you don't even have to spend anything else to get it, or all the items that you bought were things that you really wanted and that you're using and all that sort of thing, and you have no regrets on all the other items that you bought, and they weren't like justification purchases just to get a bag, then this is always going to be the better investment, because this will always fetch more in the resale market. Even if mini bags are no longer as popular, I feel like the mini Kelly will never die, but it can just kind of fluctuate more, and it's like resale pricing, right? So yeah, it'll never die as a bag, but it's always going to sell for well and truly more than its price. Whereas the Constance is the one that just doesn't have as much as a premium, because it's not as demanded, it's not as sought after, it's a bit easier to get, but it's more of a safer kind of purchase too, because there's just less of that kind of flip-flopping around. Like it's fairly stable. It's just a fairly stable sort of investment. But just this one has more of that ability to kind of just go pow, you know, and go up really high, because of it's rarer, and you know the retail price compared to its resale is just such a massive difference, and it's always going to be a huge difference. They're both investment bags, like they're both pretty solid. You're not going to lose what you pay if you buy it at the retail price, no matter what they are in terms of investment. But like if you're buying resale, the mini Kelly's a bit more risky. So resale pricing wise, the Constance 18 wins as an investment. Retail pricing wise, the mini Kelly wins as an investment bag. Now we're going to talk about sizing, and we're going to talk about capacity, because I think that that's pretty much the next thing that kind of comes into play. And then lastly, we'll sort of talk about like usability, the strap features and that sort of thing. And then at the end, overall, I will tell you which bag I think is the better bag. So sizing wise, they kind of seem fairly comparable, like in a way, like this is 19, this is like 18 and a half. Height on this is quite obviously higher, right? The Constance 18 doesn't trapeze out. It's totally just like the same up and down. So it's really going to be blatantly obvious that you can fit more into the Constance 18 than what you can fit into the mini Kelly. So we're going to start putting some stuff inside the bag. So I've just put in my Calvi, my Bastia. I don't have my Louis Vuitton key pouch. I've left it on the bench, but I think that in terms of sizing, it would be like the Calvi anyway. And the Bastia, not everyone has to sort of carry that anyways. So I've just put them both at the front for now, I think I put them both at the front. Put my new Celine sunglasses in there. So that's how that is. And then my phone, which is an iPhone mini. Put the Celine sunglasses on top. And then I'll put some lip gloss, 2 lip glosses inside. And we'll just use these items as like a benchmark as to what I can kind of fit inside the mini Kelly. Got a mask as well, so I'm just going to put that in at the top. I could fit hand sanitizer in at the top if like you had a little one, but I wasn't carrying it in my bag because there's always free hand sanitizer everywhere anyway whenever you go somewhere. Like, they've always got them out, so kind of stopped carrying hand sanitizer. I just got it in my car mostly. And then I've got 2 little, speaking of cars, how ironic. Then I got 2 little cars that I'm going to just pop in here because I like to carry little cars for my son. It kind of helps to prevent the tantrums from happening when I'm out and about at the shops and I need to get groceries. That's always fun. And I think that's about it. I could probably fit in this little tape measure too for the lols. Okay, so closing it up. Okay, it's a little bit, no, it's not too bad. Slightly getting an impression, and that's mostly from the sunglasses. So yeah, that gets you a little bit here. I would be okay to have my sunglasses in the bag because I know that it's not going to be in there the whole time. Now, what's going to fit from this into the mini Kelly? Oh my gosh, not much at all. Calvi card holder. I want to show you this as well. I don't know if I've shown you this yet. Maybe I have already shown it on my channel. I've got a special order Calvi that I actually made. I made this Calvi card holder on the Hermes Italy website. So Calvi only fits on its side. It doesn't fit standing up because if it's standing up, it's not going to close. Bastia. Oh. You know what? And if this was an Epsom mini Kelly, it wouldn't even fit as much as I'm going to be putting in right now. I can tell you that. It wouldn't fit as much. Shit. I don't know if this is really going to fit. Okay. Yeah, okay. So phone, Bastia, it closes. It's getting a bit tight, but it closes. All right. So that's how that looks, like that. It's not going to fit much more. I think I can just put this mask in at the top. And maybe a lip gloss, maybe one of those lip glosses, maybe. All right, so that's how it looks on the sides. It's sort of like, it's kind of like a bit with the Constance, like it's slightly gonna push slightly, but not really bad. Like you're not gonna get any major bulging as long as you're not leaving your contents inside the bag, you know, overnight, that sort of thing. And you're inside with the lip gloss, a face mask, Bastia, card holder, and phone. And that is still the essentials, right? If you were to take like your key pouch, your like your keys, I wouldn't be able to take the Bastia, that's for sure. So when I do use my Louis Vuitton key pouch, I don't put the Bastia in, but usually I use my mini Kelly like this. So I just leave it open like that. I mean, it's not exactly ideal, but a lot of the time that's just how I do it. I can close it with the key pouch in there and not the Bastia, but it's quite a tight fit. All right, so what is left over is all of that inside there. So the sunglasses, the 2 cars, the tape measure, the extra lip gloss as well. The interior of the mini Kelly. So the mini Kelly is simple. I know it's like a black hole. I'll have to bring it closer. All it's got is that back pocket there, and it doesn't have a zip or anything. It's just a back pocket. That's it. That's the interior of the mini Kelly. The back of the bag looks like that. The Constance looks like this. So, whoops. So they've both got no pockets at the back. And then as you've seen before, the sides. So the Constance has like 2 compartments and the mini Kelly doesn't. And the mini Kelly is a trapeze shape. The Constance is a straight up and down. Need to take note of as well is that the mini Kelly comes with feet. The Constance doesn't. So if you cannot stand your bag like being directly on any surface, then the Constance is probably going to irk you a bit. Yeah, because there's no feet. The only things that are kind of protecting your bag is that glazing on the bottom, on the glazing on the edging of the bag. That's it. So the interior of the Constance looks like this. So it's got a little bit more to it. It's got a pocket at the back here. It's got a pocket at the front here as well. Just here, there's another pocket. Both of them don't have zippers, just like the mini Kelly. They're just like flat pockets, but it's got 2 rather than the 1 that the mini Kelly has. Already know for capacity, the Constance wins, but the overall specs of the bag, like the overall look of the bag, I think that's definitely going to be a personal preference thing. I think that in overall looks, if I were to give it some kind of like opinion rating, I think this one wins in terms of its design, but that's because it's a completely different looking bag. Like they couldn't really do that on the mini Kelly, but I feel like the Constance 18 wins kind of like in its design, but in overall looks, I feel like the mini Kelly is cuter. Like I just think that it's cuter, yeah. But it's still pretty close. Like I still think that the Constance is beautiful. Quickly, just to discuss, you know, design aspects. Closure, I actually feel, so this is how you close the Kelly, like that. Just put it over and then you can turn lock it. If you want to properly close it, the official way is to put the sangles over the top and have it lock in this way. And I think we all kind of know that that's even the same for the Birkin as well. That's the proper way of closing your Kelly bag. By doing that, by putting these sangles over the actual lock, it helps to be like a weight bearing as well. So it's actually better for the bag. Like it's better for the strain on the back of the bag here, the lazy way like me. Without these sangles over the top and just closing it with the flap over, I find that the Kelly is easier to like get in and out of and close and that sort of thing. The Constance, there's only one way of accessing it, and that's by using this part here. And I find that it's a real bugger to kind of open sometimes, because you don't want to be using your nails to try and lift that up, otherwise you'll scratch the absolute crap out of it. And I have done that before on some of my older Constance when I had Epsom and even Tadillac. Like, it's just a nightmare. You just end up scratching the absolute crap out of it. So I'm pretty careful with how I open the Constance. And because of that, that's why it's more annoying, because you got to be more careful. Like, you can't just be like, Mini Kelly's just so much easier for me to get in and out of, like, just totally just experience it, you know what I'm saying. But like, to me, I find this annoying. That, like, in terms of opening and closing the bag, getting access to it, I think the Mini Kelly wins hands down, no doubt about it. So the Mini Kelly, when you get the Mini Kelly, it comes with this strap. You don't get the clochette or anything. Let me also show you the strap hook. So that's how it looks. This is actually smaller than the standard Kelly strap hooks. This is actually a mini version of their hooks. Obviously it makes sense because it's going onto a Mini Kelly. The D-ring that it connects to is very, very tiny, so it would make sense that it is a very tiny Kelly hook. So this is what I was referring to in terms of clochette. It doesn't come with anything like this. Like, it doesn't come with the lock and the keys and the clochette like you get on the other, like the Kelly and the Birkin, the other sizes. All you get is like this, right? Obviously, aside from like the box and the dust bag, this is as the Constance comes. The strap is already attached. That's it. So it's as is. Whereas the Mini Kelly, it will come with the strap as a separate thing inside the box as well, and no clochette. And this is the same, no clochette or keys or anything like that. Let's do a strap comparison. This is the thing where I feel like this is where the Mini Kelly will definitely lose. The strap can vary on the Mini Kelly. Mine is actually on the short side. I know that there are people that have the Mini Kelly and their strap is like 98 centimeters, 96 centimeters. Some people have even gotten a 100 centimeter Mini Kelly strap without being a special order or anything. Like, it just happens to be made as a longer strap. With me, I ended up on the shorter side of the strap. However, this is actually technically considered like the standard length of the strap, and mine is 87 centimeters. Like, yeah, my strap's 87 centimeters. Apparently that's normal. Like 88 centimeters, 90 centimeters at the most is like the normal strap length of the Mini Kelly. Now the Constance, I can't count this here. There's no point of counting this part here because this is a redundant part. This does not add it. This is just like, you know, just a part of the strap that just sits on top of the bag. The actual functioning strap length of the Constance is around about 105 centimeters. So it can obviously slightly vary because they are handmade bags, but 105 centimeters is a massive difference versus the 87 centimeters. And that's functioning strap length. If we were to do strap drop, you're going to see quite obviously, like, look at that difference there. Look how much longer the Constance is versus the Mini Kelly. Like, the Mini Kelly, you cannot carry it crossbody if you ended up with a strap on the shorter side. It is not possible. When I got this, I was like, oh my God, I can't carry it crossbody like the Mini Kelly. Like, I was shocked because I know that a lot of people have been able to carry a crossbody, but it's just more recent models, like the more recent made Mini Kellys, that they seem to have been slipping in those extra centimeters on the length. So what I actually do to extend the length of my Mini Kelly, this is again something else that I have in my accessory store. It's just a strap extender. That's all it is, really. This one I made myself. A lot of them, like, I make them myself, but then I also get them made too. It just, yeah, I make them myself and then I also get them made. So yeah, this is my own extender strap. I'll have my extender straps linked down below if you are needing it for your Mini Kelly, if you were unlucky like me and you got on the shorter side of the strap. The other option is if you get an aftermarket strap, or if you order a strap from Hermes. Now, I've actually ordered a Mini Kelly strap and I was told that it's going to take a long time, that it could take a year. And now it's been like 7 months. I know that other people, like in the US, it's a bit quicker, but for some reason, Australia, it just takes so long. Maybe it's because here they don't want to order it straight away. They just wait till they get lots of orders together and then they order it because they just like to be tight asses like that here. Same as like they don't like to order as many bags just to get you to spend more money. That's just how they roll here, I guess. But the other option is an aftermarket strap. So this one I got made with In a Bag Shop. In a Bag Shop is an accessories store that is exclusively only on Instagram. Spoken about them many times, but they're, yeah, if you have Hermes bags, definitely check them out because they have a lot of cool things. Obviously check out my store as well, but I don't really specialize in like Hermes accessories, whereas they do. I've just got little like bits and pieces that are like convenient for, you know, luxury handbags. Like mine's very broad. All right, so that's how it looks with that strap that is the aftermarket strap from In a Bag Shop. I think this is like 100 centimeters, I think I ordered. As you notice, this hook with the aftermarket strap, it is much bigger than the Mini Kelly strap. That's why I kind of just prefer my extender, because it's still on the small side, and then you got one of the original hooks on as well. So in terms of like being a crossbody bag, no doubt about it, the Constance wins. Like, quite a no-brainer there. Pretty much nearing the end now, and I'm just going to talk to you about leather options. I think that's probably the only thing I kind of haven't really covered. Because I think that when it comes to like all the things like looks and stuff like that, those are definitely personal preference things. All right, leather options. So going off the top of my head, the Constance 18, I think comes in more leather options than the Mini Kelly. Now, I know I'm going to miss some, but I'm just going to rattle some of the ones off the top of my head. And we're going to start off with the ones that are like more common. And that's Epsom, Swift, which is what this is here. Chev as well has come back. That wasn't always the case. They didn't used to do Chev for the Constance. Chev has only just come back for the Constance. It was something that was done a long time ago, but then they stopped for a long time, but now they brought it back, and I'm very grateful that they have, because I think Chev is a fantastic leather. That's this leather here. Tadillac as well is another option, because I had Tadillac before, but it's harder to get. Box calf for the Constance, again, very hard to get. Vaux Monsieur, I believe, is also offered in the Constance. Yeah, Vaux Monsieur, yeah, because that's like kind of a bit similar to Tadillac, that leather. There's also Vaux Butler. Vaux Butler is it's kind of very thick leather. It's a bit more heritage based, like it's based off like heritage leathers, but it's not exactly a heritage leather. I have a whole leather guide video, and I have a whole video that talks about leathers that are offered for which bags. I'll link both of them below, because they can be really, really helpful if you're not educated in what leathers are for which bags and that sort of thing. The only exception being that now Chev has just been added back for the Constance. They've also got Brenier as well. You can get the Brenier Constance. And I think that might be about it. Just trying to think if there's any of the other like rare leathers or anything like that that come with it, other than exotics. Obviously exotics are offered in this. Yeah, I can't think of anything else, but I might have missed some. But that's why, if you want to know what I've missed, definitely check out that video that talks about which leathers for which bags. The Mini Kelly is offered in Chev, like this one here, Epsom, box calf, which is very, very rare. Vaux Butler as well, which is very, very rare. Brenier again, which is very, very rare. In terms of leather and options, the Constance definitely wins. It definitely has more leather options to it. For me, in my own personal opinion, my own personal collection, I actually think that I prefer the Mini Kelly, I think, slightly. And I think that's just because I find that the closure on the Constance is pretty annoying. But in terms of like when I look at my collection on the shelf, I actually feel like the Constance really rounds out the collection more. But I think if you don't have the qualms that I sort of have, like if you've got more time in your hands when you use your bags, you don't have little kids with you, you know, you don't have kids or your kids are grown up, whatever that may be, I think that the Constance is kind of the better bag. I feel like it just ticks more boxes. It looks dressy like the Mini Kelly. You know, it definitely works as an evening bag, and, you know, it can wear crossbody. It fits a lot more. I feel like the Constance is way better value. It also is less as well in the resale market. It's less in retail, but not really. It's more what matters to me is the resale market, because and matters to what also, you know, takes into consideration as well is, you know, the fact that you don't have to spend as much to get the Constance at the store, whereas you have to spend too much money to try and get a bloody Mini Kelly. Wanting to get a good deal, it's usually going to be the ones that I link. Though I always am a massive deal hunter, so I'm going to link some of these bags down below in the description bar.